room to wait. ஆச்சு அங்கே ஸ்டார்ட் ஆச்சு. அங்கே வருதல்ல, அங்கே வர பட் ஃபோக்கஸ் இல்லை. அதான் நான் ஸ்டார்ட் ப்ரெஸ் பண்ணுறேன். Already start actually. Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We had some mic problem, so we are redoing starting the chapter 9 again with the verse 1. And as a part of this is a Vidyaranya's Panchadashi 9th chapter. It's called Dhyana Deepaha, or lamp of meditation. And Deepaha means on the consciousness, and Dhyana meditation. And this is a lamp of meditation. That's how the English translation of that is. And we'll discuss first as a basic the essence of this chapter. And this is also has a very big chapter, 158 verses, so it will take some time to finish this chapter too. And this is a unique topic, and in this unique topic it's a discussion of a problem that is uniquely defined, and this is where the Vedanta has done its part. At the same time, one has not realized. So if you look at everybody and ask, have you understood Vedanta? Yes, we have clear understanding of Vedanta. At the same time, if you ask them, have you realized? Says, no, we have not realized. So they think the realization is different from understanding of Vedanta. Whereas the Vedanta itself says that what you need to do is the essential problem is the ignorance. And ignorance is a problem. Ignorance can only be removed by the knowledge. So by knowledge I remove the ignorance itself, and there is no more problems, because the problem involves is that I do not know who I am. And Vedanta teaches in principle that you are complete by yourself. And logic also tells that the happiness that I am longing for is not outside, it is coming from myself. And I think the momentary happiness that also is coming from myself, but I am not happy with the momentary happiness. So I long for one more. So that gives me more happiness, that gives you, I am longing for one experience to the other. I want a better and better experiences, more and more wealth, so that I can be more happy. So more happy, more I have, or more I happy, more I have is more I am. More I am means I want to become infinite by process of acquiring things, because I want to be a state where I don't need any more. That means I am full. That means I am no more desire for anything, because I have everything. That state cannot be reached, or that state can only be reached if I acquire everything in the universe. That means I am, that whole universe with me is with me. That means Aham Brahmasmi is only state of mind, or state where if I possess the entire universe itself, then I can get that happiness. This is what Taittiriya Upanishad talks about, the Ananda scale also. So one person, the one human being as a unit of Ananda, one unit of Ananda is a human being who owns the whole world, and at the same time young enough to digest whatever he eats. Therefore he is completely happy, and he is happy with what he has, because he has everything in the world. but his happiness is is comparatively 1 unit, and the one who is in the Gandharva Loka is 100 times more happy, but his desires are a little bit higher. Therefore, he has everything below it, but he wants something higher than what he has. So at every level there is 100 times more happiness than the lower level, and he wants the one that is higher lokas that he is looking for. So like that, there is a hierarchy of jivas, with each one having 100 folds of the lower one, and the lower one has 100 folds of the lower than them, like that all the way up. If you go to Prajapati, the highest one, he has 1 into 10 to the power of 26 times that of a 1 unit of a human being who owns the entire earth. And that happiness, all that is by possessing the things that are all things that are about that. Whereas the scripture also tells at each level, says one can get the same happiness by sotriyasya akamayatasya. So this statement, sotriyasya akamayatasya, the one who is sotriya and does not have any more desires in that, he is fulfilled, or he feels that he is fulfilled. That means his mind is contented. He is also happy whether he has the possessions or not, but his mind is no more longing mind or a wanting mind. That state of mind is also happy. So one can gain that state of mind by sotriya. That means one who understands by study of the scriptures that I am already full up to that point. So the one who is completely fulfilled, that means because you cannot get happiness by acquiring things, because even Prajapati wants some more also. There is a Prajapati of this Brahmandam, there is a Anantakoti Brahmandam, there is a infinite Brahmandams, as we call it in the galaxies, and galaxies are the infinite amounts of the stars and the planetary systems and so on. So mind-boggling. Even that in the Vedanta also, the universe has been defined as 14 lokas, and each loka itself is infinite amount. And that kind of description and all that is essentially still what we call it is 1/3 of the totality. That means there is a 2/4 of that, 2/3 of that beyond this, the human comprehension is called Divya Vibhuti, and is called Leela Vibhuti in the Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripadasya Divi. So Amrutam Divi, the divine one, that which is in the higher is 3/4 compared to this 1/4 only. And in essence, I will never be happy until I am full and complete. And that's what scripture says. Ultimately, you are essentially Brahman. I am Atma Brahman. That is understood by study of the scriptures under a competent teacher. That's why you approach a teacher. Tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. So you approach a teacher with an attitude of learning, and therefore with the humility. A mind that has a mind which has a humility alone can learn. And therefore, with that attitude, approach a teacher and ask for appropriate questions to gain the knowledge. Don't go to a chemistry teacher and ask about biology. He will not be able to teach it. Same way, don't go to Adhyatmika teacher, a teacher who teaches about the higher nature of the reality, about all other phenomenal world, because he is not a teacher of that. Same way, you have to go tadvidhi pranipasena pariprasnena. You ask appropriate questions. That's what Krishna says. So, having studied this srotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha, those are the instructions. So you go to a teacher and study for what? Srotavyaha means listen to the teacher. Listen to a teacher called Samvadam, where like a Krishna-Arjuna Samvadam, where the flow of knowledge takes place from a higher to the lower, and that is what is called samvadam. And you approach a teacher with an attitude of learning, and you ask questions. You are not questioning the teacher, but questioning your understanding for clarification. That is essentially encouraged in Vedanta. So by that process you learn, that is called srotavyaha. How long I have to listen, how long, that question of how long itself has to disappear, because srotavyaha means consistent, systematic study of Vedanta for a prolonged length of time under a competent teacher. Who is a competent teacher? Competent teacher is one who studied Vedanta for a prolonged length of time under his competent teacher. So like that all the way to the Lord. So therefore there is a sampradayam, there is a guru parampara, all are prescribed in the process. The methodology of teaching is also taught by the teacher in the process, that student knows what are the pitfalls, because this is the Shurasya Dhara Duratyaya Durgam Patanat Kavayo Vadanti. In the Kathopanishad, he says it's a razor edge path, because any fall will be catastrophic. Therefore, one has to be very extremely discipline is required in the study of Vedanta also. Discipline is required in any field to gain knowledge. And Vedanta becomes much more, because it's a very subtle subject and it's very easy to misguided or through kutarka, the wrong logic and so on and so forth. It's very easy to fall, and therefore the scripture wants that it is a razor head path. So it says Shurasya Dhara Duratyaya Durgam Patanat Kavayo Vadanti. So Uttishta Jagrata Prapyavaran Nibodata. So approach a appropriate teacher, a right teacher, and for this knowledge. And once you are learned, therefore first, as we studied in the last chapter, in the 7th chapter, where there is a pratyaksha, there is a 7 stages of learning, where the avidya, then avarana, then vikshepa, then pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means the paroksha jnanam. They indirectly recognize that the Brahman asti, there is the Lord that pervades the entire universe. I don't see him, but I had to see that by the effects, I had to see the cause. I don't see, but by the very creation of a beautiful building, I said there must be an architect who designed it. I don't see an architect, but the very fact that there is a beautiful design, that is structure there available, is itself a proof that there must be an intelligence behind it. In the case of creation of any other thing that we are familiar in this world, the creator is different from created, because a goldsmith is different from the ornaments that are created. So goldsmith creates using gold, so they're called upadana karana and nimitta karana. Nimitta karana is the intelligent cause, and that is the intelligence in the creation. Upadana karana is a material cause, because if somebody wants to make a pot, he has a know-how of how to create a pot, but he needs a material to create. So for him, he goes around looks around where the clay is appropriate material for appropriate product. So the karyam and a karanam. Karyam is the product, karanam is the cause. So material cause is required to make anything. Whereas in the case of the whole universe, if God has to create, and this is where the Vedanta becomes a science, because it understands, in contrast to other religions, says who created? God created. How did he create? Don't ask the question, because he created in 7 days or 8 days or whatever days. So, but Vedanta asks the question, how did he create? Where did he get material for creation? So Vedanta has to explain it. So since he cannot go and get material like a pot maker getting a clay somewhere, or a goldsmith getting a gold somewhere to make a gold ornaments, a creator of the universe cannot go and outside get a material. So material has to come from himself. So therefore the material cause is also himself too. So he himself became many. So Lord himself appears as many. So that is called the Paroksha Jnanam, because I know that God Asti. That means he exists. That means it's not an Asti. It's not a atheistic philosophy. It is theistic. That means God is there. Where is God? Everything that you see is nothing but God itself. Even though all scripture says he is Sarva Vyapakaha. He pervades everything. At the same time, we recognize that he is in fact everything too. So that knowledge has been understood by Vedanta Shravana. Having understood through Mahavakya Vichara, where the statements of Aham Brahmasmi has been also a Tattvamasi statement, also been analyzed. So after studying all this Vedanta for many years, so what is the Vedanta has done its job. So sir, have you realized? So many people say, I have not realized even though I understood. That means they have separating the realization from understanding. And the Jnani also doesn't say I realize, because he doesn't have to say that I have realized, but he understood that what is to be realized. There is no more longing mind or wanting mind anymore, that whatever he gets as a part of prarabdha, he accepts it as a prasada buddhi. At the same time, he recognizes everything is nothing but himself, but in a different form. So he has understood the Mahavakya as aparoksha jnanam is also understood. But where the problem is that in spite of many years of study of Vedanta, people have afraid to claim that I have understood. And therefore, they have some claim that I have understood, but I have not realized. And where the problem is, because of what we call pratibandha. There are obstacles in claiming that I am Brahman. And that's what being addressed in this chapter is called the chapter of meditation, and that's what lamp meditation, dhyana dipaha. So there are different types of obstacles that are to be recognized. One is the obstacles that are quantifiable, and major obstacles is essentially pramana asambhavana, then the prameya asambhavana or viparita bhavana, and the third one that is being discussed in this chapter is essentially adrushta, the obstacles or asambhavana. So this the adrushta pratibandha. The other ones are drushta pratibandha. Drushta means one can conceive at least. The pramana asambhavana, that means it's the what scripture says is I don't see it, this possibility is not there. It's impossible, people claim. Says why? Because says God is everywhere, but I'm still looking for a God. How can this be God? How can that be God? I see garbage, I see terrorists, I see all sorts of people. How can they be God? This is a question that always a rational intellect cannot but ask that question. So therefore, that's called pramana asambhavana. God himself became many. Everything is nothing but his own glory. So if you look the Virat Purusha in the 11th chapter of Gita, where the Krishna describes the Virat Purusha, and Arjuna sees, and Arjuna himself describes what he sees. On one side, he sees all gods one side, but in the same Virat Purusha, he sees the demons also on the other side. So both the good and bad are also shown in the same one Virata Purusha. That means one God himself exhibiting himself, both the good side and the bad side too. So therefore, God say, I'm only seeing good side, I want to see good side only God, and the other side is bad, it cannot be God. So that kind of misunderstanding comes only if I don't have clear understanding of Vedanta. So it doesn't mean that I should tolerate bad, that's a different question. Because you are given an opportunity to fight also, because even gods always fight with against adharma. So major obstacles is pramana asambhavana. And the second obstacle is prameya, the asambhavana. Because prameya means, how can I be that? Prameya means aprameyam. I cannot know myself, I cannot know Brahman, at the same time I need to know Brahman. This is where the problem comes into picture. Says, I don't need to know Brahman, I recognize that I am already Brahman. That's what is the, because I'm trying to objectify Brahman, but whereas the Viparita Bhavana is, how can I be that? That's what Viparita Bhavana. Because I always take that is different from me, because everything else is, the whole world is separate from me. As my transactions in the world, as I am transacting, I had to transact as though I am separate from the world. So the food I am eating is different, even though when we chant before the food, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnyau Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. So Brahma Arpanam, this is, that is a statement comes in the 4th chapter where Krishna says that as an example of homam, and this also, eating is also like a homam, where I am offering the food to as a part of homam, where the offering is myself, food is myself, and the digesting system myself, everything myself is being exemplified in that. Enjoyed is myself, enjoyed is also myself. While chanting at the same time, we recognize that it is different from me. So there is a problem in terms of Viparita Bhavana that can be overcome by slowly called Nididhyasanam. Constant contemplation and memory of reflecting the teaching again and again and again until it sinks in. That's called Jnana Nishtha, to abide in one's own knowledge that I am indeed the totality in spite of the plurality that I perceive and I transact with. That knowledge has to sink in, because still that ragadveshas, the likes and dislikes are still lingering. My mind is not purified enough, and now I don't have to go back to karma yoga, upasana yoga, but I can purify by constant reflecting on the teaching. So that is the Nididhyasana. But even with that is not possible for a particular people, and that is being addressed here as essentially adrushta obstacles, and which the Gaudapada calls as a kashayam. And here it's impossibility is being imagined, that how can I be that, and that has to be cleared out. And this is what has been as an upasana of what? Not any other upasana of that was there in the karma yoga and upasana yoga. This is after studying scriptures. Again, scripture talks about the upasana, but it's not upasana of the duality involved, but upasana of Advaita, where Aham Brahmasmi itself is an upasana, and that's what is being emphasized as Samvadi Brahma. So with that, we'll go into the first mantra, first sloka. So he calls, the Vijayaranya calls this as the Samvadi Brahma. So he's going to discuss what is Samvadi Brahma. Samvadi Brahma is a, Brahma means a error of the perception or error of knowledge. So we have a Prama, we have a Brahma. Prama means a valid knowledge. What I see is what is there. That's called Prama. And Brahma is what I see is not what is there. That's called Brahma. That is what simple example is. The rope snake says, I see a snake there, but it's not really a snake, it is a rope. That's called Brahma. Whereas Prama is, I see a rope there and it is a rope. That's called Prama. Prama is that which is not negated subsequently. That's called Prama. Prama means a knowledge that which cannot be negated. That's called valid knowledge, called Brahma. Brahma is that which can be negated by the additional analysis or by a better pramana. So I see a snake there, but it's a rope. But how do I know it's a rope? Somebody said it's a rope. So therefore I want to confirm. So I need a torchlight to make sure that I am seeing correctly. All pratibandhas, obstructing, that is semi-darkness, etc., where my senses are not able to gather the complete attributes of the object. Therefore, now I am putting a focus on it to get the clear information, and therefore by that I recognize that it is a rope. What happened to the snake? Now I recognize that my perception of snake is only a Brahma. So here that is Brahma as being Samvadi Brahma, and either Asambadi or Visambadi Brahma is going to talk about here. So he is going to define the Samvadi Brahma from three angles. One is from the based on Pratyaksha Pramana, Samvadi Brahma. Second is by Anumana Pramana, Samvadi Brahma. Another third is by the Shruti, by the Brahma is introduced by the Shruti itself for evolution, called Adhyaropa Apavada also, where initially I take that as a real, but then scripture says that is not real, that is a Brahma, but you go to next level. So that's what is called Samvadi Brahma. So here we chant the first sloka of the 9th chapter. Samvadi Brahmavad Brahma, Samvadi Brahmavad Brahma, Tattvopastyapi muchyate, Tattvopastyapi muchyate, Uttare tapani etaham, Shrutopastirane kadam. Together. Samvadi Brahmavad Brahma, Tattvopastyati muchyate, Uttare tapani etaham, Shrutopastirane kada. So Samvadi Brahmavat, so Samvadi Brahma. So this called he is calling the name Samvadi Brahma. Brahma Tattva Upastyapi muchyate. So what is Samvadi Brahma? So Brahma Tattvam. So Brahma Tattvam is the upasana on the essence of Brahma. Upasya by upasana. Api muchyate. A seeker is get liberated by processing, by doing a upasana. So why do you have to upasana? It is a knowledge. Knowledge is not an upasana. I don't have to sit, Om, this is a rope, Om, this is a rope, Om, this is a rope, because that is a rope, has to be knowledge of what it is. So same way, I had to do vichara. But here, it's not the vichara problem, it is a lack of proper, clear, adrushta pratibandham. That unforeseen obstacles are there because of strong, the raga dveshas are so strong that because of that I have to remove those adrushtam, which not imperceivable obstacles that are because of previous karmas. Therefore I had to remove that, and to remove that is being prescribed, and it's called Brahma Tattva Upasya. So by upasya, that is Brahma Tattva Upasya, by upasana of Brahma Tattvam, by the meditation on the nature of Brahman, api muchyate, one can get liberated. So who says that? He says Ataha Uttare Tapaniyaha. Uttara Tapaniya Upanishad says that one can do Uttare Tapaniyataha Shrutopasti Anekada. Shrutaha Upasti Anekada. So Shruti itself prescribes, and this Shruti, name of the Shruti Upanishad is called the Uttare Tapaniya Upanishad. Uttara Tapaniya Upanishad. Uttare Tapaniya Upanishad. It's called Uttara Tapaniya Upanishad. In the Upasanas are prescribed to overcome this, and therefore this is called removal of the Sambhadi Brahma. So here he gives an introduction of justification for the upasana coming from the Uttara Tapaniya Upanishad. Now he is going to define different types of the Sambhadi Brahma. One is from the perception point. Here he takes an example of two people where they're in a different room and they're looking at it. Some light is coming from the temple, and the door is closed, half closed, and they see a light, and they don't see completely, but they're seeing a light coming through the door, and thinking that that light is coming from due to the brilliance of a diamond there. So thinking that there is a diamond there, Mani, and Mani Prabha, the brilliance of the mind of the diamond, and mistaking that light is due to the Mani, both seeing it, two different people, and two different people watching from two different doors, and in each door light is appearing. Let's assume that they don't know each other, because for the top point of investigation. So one sees only one light, other fellow sees the other light. Both are seeing the light. They are not seeing the source of the light. They are seeing only the light. And the light is, they think that since the light is coming and everywhere it is dark, therefore they think that the light is coming from the diamond. So due to diamond light, they can see only light part of it, although the source, whether the diamond, they are not seeing. And that's what the illustration is. In one door there is a real diamond, in the other door there is the lamp. Both think that the light is coming from the diamond. So this fellow thinks that light is coming from the diamond. The other fellow thinks he is looking at the light and thinks that the light is coming from that. In one case the light is really coming from the diamond, in the other case the light is coming from the lamp. But both do not know that. So it is a working hypothesis. In science also, we investigate something in future which we don't know yet. If we know it, we don't need to investigate, obviously. So scientists make a hypothesis called working hypothesis. This is this is what is happening. So how am I going to prove it? So if I do this step, I am going to discover what the truth is. So he proposes this is what is happening as which he doesn't know, and that's what he called a hypothesis. And he works towards it. He may discover the hypothesis right when he discovers what he thought is what it is, and the other one may not discover what it is, so he scraps the hypothesis and makes a new hypothesis. But as a scientist, honest scientist, he reports that and says so that other people don't go along the path also. So therefore from that, even that is a valid investigation. Therefore the wrong hypothesis, but wrong hypothesis because it is done for some logical reasons. In the same way, both are making a hypothesis here. Both are thinking that it's a diamond. Because of what? Because they see a light. So light is the cause for making a further hypothesis. Both seeing the light. So it's a valid observation. From the observation, they have to deduce something, the cause for the observation. Cause they cannot see right now. So therefore they make an hypothesis. And since the one is both are looking for diamonds, and both are making a hypothesis that the light is due to the diamond, and both go towards it. Obviously one gets a diamond, other doesn't get diamond. So one becomes the hypothesis, or that what we call a hypothesis called Brahma. We calls it Brahma, Sambhadi Brahma, where I am making a right hypothesis but not knowing it. Since I do not know, it's called a Brahma. So a proposition where I don't see the truth, but yet I am making a proposition thinking that it must be true, and then investigating. And that's what is essentially a Sambhadi. Other one is asambhadi, is the one who makes an assumption of that light is due to the diamond, but when he finds it, it's not due to diamond, but it's due to lamp or deepam, and that's what he makes. So there it is asambhadi brahma, where the result does not match with the hypothesis. Here the result matches with the hypothesis. So if the result matches with the hypothesis, it's called sambhadi brahma. If the result doesn't match with the hypothesis, it's called asambhadi brahma. So that is the essence of it. Now he is going to make a direct perceptual based error also, and that's what is being analyzed using a deepam and mani. Yes, do chant mantra 2. Mani pradeepa prabhayoho, mani pradeepa prabhayoho, mani bhujya bhidhavatoho, mani bhujya bhidhavatoho, mithya jnana visheshepi, visheshepi, mithya jnana visheshepi, visheshortha kriyampati, visheshortha kriyampati. Together. Mani pradeepa prabhayoho, mani buddhya bhidhavatoho, mithya jnana visheshepi, visheshortha kriyampati. Mani pradeepa prabhayoho. So mani and pradeepam, prakashena deepam, that is the brilliance of a mani and also the light. Prabhayoho, their light coming from that. So the light coming from both the mani and the lamp. So these are two, assume that these are two different directions and two different people are involved here. Mani Buddhya, so considering both of them, both lights are coming from the mani, so both the two lights are coming from two different directions, and thinking that both lights are coming from the mani, whereas the one light is coming from the mani, other light is coming from the lamp. So that is the situation here. Mani Buddhya, considering both lights are due to mani. Abhidhavatoho. So two persons run after one going this direction, other one going in the other direction. So abhidhavatoho. So they are running towards it. And mithya jnanam, because of the erroneous knowledge, it may be right, it may not be wrong. So the hypothesis that it is a real diamond may be right or maybe not. So a scientist also investigate with the presumption that making a hypothesis which may be correct, which may not be correct. So many people make hypothesis and do investigation, and they so happen they may be right and they may not be right also. So mithya, therefore both are considered here as a mithya jnanam, is neither right nor unright also. So mithya jnanam, so it's not real jnanam, or it's not real error. It can be there, it cannot be there. Astiva nastiva. So that's called mithya jnanam, erroneous knowledge. Aviseshe. So this the common for both of them. Api artha kriyapatihi. So the result of this vishesha is different. In both cases, the result, that is artha kriya, means the resulting of the investigation, that both ran towards it thinking that there is a mani there. But the results are two different results, because the one who is going towards the real mani pradapa, he will find it, whether the other one does not find it, and therefore that's called, one is in that two, one is the asambhavana is impossible one, where it's a possible one. But both are presumptions at that stage is that based on a knowledge that it is due to the light that is coming from, and the light comes from both the lamp as well as the mani. So presumption is right, data is right, but the conclusions are different, and therefore one is happen to be right conclusion, other happen to be wrong conclusion. So therefore both are errors involved in that sense. Therefore one is called sambhadi brahma, another is not sambhadi or asambhadi brahma. We go into the detailed analysis of this after we come back. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.